Hi, this is Amy's Banned Book Buzz. Today I'm going to be talking about the book The Call of the Wild by Jack London. It's a book that it was controversial when it came out. Um, it was published in 1903. Originally, it was published by the Saturday Evening Post, and they did like 4 installments. A lot of times back then, magazines would do what they called serials. That way, it would promote more readers to read the next issue and so forth. But even that same year, it was picked up by Macmillan and Company, and they published the book. It's a short story, but it's got a lot of depth within it. It's one of those books that people look at it like, oh, well, it's too violent, or there's too much going on, and there's dogs being mistreated, and but it was written in an era where that was commonplace. It's not like Jack London just made up, let's go beat sled dogs, or he liked to immerse himself in that environment in order to, get those writing juices flowing. Another reason why it was banned is because people judged the author. They didn't like his politics. Jack London, he had this thirst for adventure, and he was a radical or extremist. So many times when they tried to ban this book in different areas, it was like, oh, it's too radical or it's too extreme for people to read it. It may be, there's certain ages you may not want a child to read this book, but as they get older, it's a classic book, and you don't have to read a book just because it's classic, because there are sometimes that books that are considered classic and you just don't like them. I have a few of my own that I just don't like. But anyways, getting back to the story, dog's name was Buck. And he was this, I want to say, aristocratic dog. And his human was a Judge Miller. And unfortunately, he was stolen. And then he was crated up and with other dogs, and he was auctioned off he was auctioned off several times. He had several so-called owners, and they wanted him to be a sled dog. So these dogs would, if they didn't run, they would get whipped. They weren't trained, so the only way the owners trained them would be to whip them. Sometimes the more experienced dogs would kind of show the other dogs how to do what they were supposed to do. And if they dropped from being so tired, then they would also be whipped until they would get back up again. Buck had torturous owners and was passed along. He saw things that he probably wish he'd never seen. Dogs were killed, or usually by humans. Sometimes, if they were the weaker one, then someone wanted to take the place of an alpha. And anyone who knows the relationship of the alpha especially in packs, whether it's packs in humans or packs in werewolves or regular wolves or dogs. There is the alpha dog, and that's the one that everyone has to follow. And then if they don't want to follow, there's another dog that wants to be the alpha. There's a challenge, and usually it's a fight to the death in order for that person or that dog to become the next alpha. Whoever kills the current alpha becomes the new alpha dog. Sometimes the new alpha dog doesn't always kill the other alpha, and the former alpha has to kind of obey and move on and deal with what he has to deal with. This story was taken during the Klondike Gold Rush, and it was in the early 20th century. And it was a time where people were looking for gold, and they needed it was snow, and this was taking place in the Yukon. So people wanted to find their riches, and the area was barren. It took its toll on the mind and on the body, not just of the humans, but also especially the dogs. So I recommend reading Call of the Wild, and here we go, Call of the Wild by Jack London. It's a short story, but it's one of those that sometimes you just have to like set it down and go, oh my God, I can't believe that actually happened, and then move on. So I'm going to read a section of Jack London's book, Call of the Wild. In a flash, Buck knew it. The time had come. It was to the death. As they circled about, snarling, ears laid back, keenly watchful for the advantage, and the scene came to Buck with a sense of familiarity. He seemed to remember it all, the white woods and earth and moonlight and the thrill of battle. Over the whiteness and silence brooded a ghostly calm. There was not the faintest whisper of air. Nothing moved. Not a leaf quivered. The visible breaths of the dogs rising slowly and lingering in the frosty air. They had made short work of the snowshoe rabbit. Those dogs were ill-tamed wolves, and now they were drawn up in an expectant circle. They too were silent, their eyes only gleaming, and their breaths drifting slowly upward. To Buck, it was nothing new or strange, the scene of this old time. It was as though it had always been the wonted way of things. Spitz was a practiced fighter. From Spitzenberg through the Arctic and across Canada and the Barrens, he had held his own with all manner dogs and achieved mastery over them. Bitter rage was his, but never blind rage, and passion to rend and to destroy. He never forgot that his enemy was like passion to never